Hello, my name is Terry Keenan, and I'm the senior minister of the Santa Anita Church, and I want to invite you here this morning. Now, I know I can't invite you here personally because of the pandemic, we are still closed like so many things are, but please do yourself and us a favor. Don't push the envelope. If you look at the statistics that are published around the world, you can see that many people are passing away because of their contact with this virus 19, Corona 19, whatever you want to call it. It's happening. It's not fake publicity. It's not just for the young or just for the old. People are dying. And I'd love to have you here with us on the mornings, and I'd love to have you when this is all over. Come in and say, Terry, your message has made me feel good, and I'm here with you because I want to see all of us survive. It doesn't do us any good if one person gets silly and decides to wear a mask and go into a party. Stay away. Let yourself be alone. Practice loneness. Loneness, I mean to be with yourself, with your loved ones close, the ones that you are close to all the time. Practice your intimacies, your huggings, and so on. But don't do it in public. Keep the mask on, avoid contact, and survive this. We can survive it. I heard yesterday that the new figures from China say that China has 1.2 billion people. And do you know how many cases of the coronavirus they have now? 4. If they can do it, we can do it. But we all have to be responsible for it. There's that thought. I'll be back with you in just a moment with a message from Sufi, the mystic. Talk to you in a minute.
I saw a man with his head bowed low. His heart had no place to go. I looked and I thought to myself with a sigh, there but for you go I saw a man walking by the sea, alone with the tide was he. I looked and I thought as I watched him go by, there but for you go I. Lonely men around me, trying not to cry, till the day you found me, there among them was I saw a man who had never known a love that was all his own. I thought as I thanked all the stars in the sky, there but for you go
The Sufi mystic and poet Hafiz once wrote, "You're invited to meet the divine. No one can resist a divine invitation. That narrows down all our choices to just 2. You can come to the divine dressed for dancing or be carried on a stretcher to God's ward." Last week I shared my interpretation of these words, and I'll do it one more time today. You're invited to meet the divine. You're being called to express more of God as you. You're constantly being invited in a higher, freer, fully expanded version of life, living itself as you. The invitation shows up in your life as either an inner urging for more expression or as discontent, dissatisfaction with where you are now. You can't resist the invitation. Either your inner urging for more expression or your discontent, dissatisfaction with where you are now will have its way with you. That's just the way it is. You can't stop it. You can't resist it. You can come dressed for dancing. You can show up fully ready and prepared to do whatever it takes to answer the call of the desire or discontent. Or you can be carried out on a stretcher. You can resist the call of the desire or get mired down in the discontent and agree to a life of struggle and suffering. So, we pretty much agreed that we would prefer to accept the divine invitation dressed for dancing, or, said another way, we would prefer to consciously, actively, deliberately, purposefully, and intentionally answer the call of either the desire or discontent to be the fullest, freest, most expanded expressions of the divine that we can be. Are you still with me? Are you still? Okay, good. That's because each week we're going to suit up for dancing. Now, I don't dance much, but we're going to try to give you something this week that'll help with that. Today we're going to suit up by releasing our paradigms that put us on the stretcher every darn time. So what is a paradigm? I'm glad you asked. I wanted to give you a precise definition, so I looked the word up in the dictionary, and according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a paradigm is, are you ready for this? A philosophical and theoretical framework of a scientific school or discipline within which theories, laws, and generalizations and the experiments performed in support of them are formulated. Broadly, a philosophical or theoretical framework of any kind. Okay, let's forget the scientific application definition. It doesn't apply so much here today, but the part after that does. A philosophical or theoretical framework of any kind. Said in an expanded way, our paradigms are our philosophical or theoretical frameworks that become habits of thought and habits of attitude. New Thought minister Dr. Harry Morgan Moses once coined a term, habitudes. That's what a paradigm is. And those habitudes, those habits of thought and attitude that color the way we look at the world, they are our own set of glasses through which we view the world, our personal viewpoints of the way things are. Now, here's the interesting thing about them. While they become ours, and we can take very tight ownership of them, they often did not start with us. They're often not even ours. Rather, they're other people's habits of thought and habits of attitude, habitudes, passed on from one generation to the next, that we have embroidered because we didn't know any better. We've wrapped them in our life. And for others of our paradigms, we do create them based on our experiences early in life and from the experiences from previous habitudes. How we got them isn't really the point. The important thing to know about them is that they color how we view the world, and they very well may cloud our ability to even consider new or different ideas, and they can definitely keep us stuck in the what is and prevent us from achieving the greater what can be. And make no mistake, my friends, the divine invitation is always toward the greater what can be. They shape our logic. Have you ever said, I just don't see how that can happen? Or, well, that just doesn't make any sense? That could well be your paradigm talking. Perceptions. How about, well, that's just the way it is. Or that's the way I see it, so that is the way it has to be. If so, that's your paradigm talking. I want to skip through some of this now so I don't use too much time here. No, I think I will tell you this story. This came from a wonderful, wonderful minister who said, while her mom was still living, her husband Lonnie and she would go to Mom's home for dinner every Sunday afternoon. One Saturday she called, very excited, to tell me that she was making my husband's favorite pie for dessert the next day. Now, she said, my mother was an extraordinary pie maker, and I can witness that. Her crusts were famous. So her husband was delighted to be getting a cherry pie, his favorite cherry pie. Well, that's an important piece of the story. Remember, we're talking about perceptions, which are a result of our paradigms. So she said, we arrived at Mom's house, and she was all a-twitter about the pie, and her husband thanks her for the cherry pie, and at that she says, I didn't make a cherry pie. That's not your favorite. Well, he and I were both stunned, she said. We then proceeded, she said, to name every pie they could think of. And she kept saying, no, that's not it. That's not your favorite pie. Come on, you know what it is. So they finally gave up and begged her to tell what kind of pie it was. She said, I can't believe you don't know your favorite pie. Key lime. Now, where she got the notion that key lime was his favorite pie, we have absolutely no idea. But there was no convincing her that it wasn't his favorite. So they finally just agreed and enjoyed the pie, which was, of course, outstanding. But we both would have preferred cherry. Something to think about. Another thing that control is our use of time. I never seem to have enough time to do what really matters. That's a paradigm. For me, personal confession, what I have said in the past is I would love to spend time in a long-range visionary activity, but I don't have the time. The truth is that my paradigm was that I thought I wasn't good at that. So it caused me to make choices that kept me so busy with other stuff that I didn't have time. I just got that awareness while working on this talk, by the way, so thank you very much for the gift. I have that continually here. I'm constantly trying to do more things, and I look at our administrator, and she has the same thing. She has a list a mile long of all the things she wishes to do, and little by little, she gets them done. And I watch her and marvel because I think, wow, here I'm running this and doing all that I'm doing here, and you're doing 5 times as much because she has a lot of responsibilities. But we're all moving forward, just a little at a time. Another thing we can think of, our paradigm about being creative. Oh, I'm just not creative. That's a paradigm. You are creative. You can do endless things. All of these ways our paradigms rear their not so attractive heads impact whether we show up to answer the divine invitation just for dancing or being carried on a stretcher. Now, there are 2 ways to change our paradigms. First, through an intense emotional experience, life-changing events that rock our world like a pandemic, or through constant repetition of a new thought supported by a new environment. Since intense emotional experiences, life-changing events that rock our world are out of our conscious control, you've noticed that with this paradigm, that's why it's here, teach us. These things hit us out of the blue, so we think. We are not going to focus on them today. We know what they are. Actually, for a great day to look at them, review some of our other talks. Let's spend a few moments today looking at the second way. Constant repetition of a new thought supported by a new environment. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, did not speak in terms of paradigms. It's a relatively modern term. But he pretty much did lay out on the line the idea and the truth behind them when he wrote this in the Science of Mind textbook. It's a little long and convoluted, but I like so much where it begins and ends that I wanted to share it with you. And it speaks to this second way. He wrote, If we think of ourselves as being separated from the universe, we shall be limited by this thought. For it is a belief in separation from God which binds and limits. We are bound by nothing except belief. Our paradigms, and this is a perception paradigm, right? Here's the point. Everything we experience, touch, taste, handle, smell, environment, bodies, conditions, money, happiness, friends, are all our effects of our paradigms. Is it clear that the infinite and limitless possibilities of that one of which we are a part depend in our expression upon our own concept? If we are a point of personality in limitless mind, which we are, and if all our life must be drawn from this one mind, which it must be, there cannot be anything else, can there? And if there is nothing else, if there's nothing to move save mind, and if we are thinking centers in mind, nothing is going to happen to us that does not happen through us. Whether it be the result of our own erroneous conclusions, our paradigms, those of our grandfather, or those of a race to which we belong. This is not in any sense fatalistic, for we may change, get this, we may change the trend of causation which has been set in motion. Basically, that means we can change our paradigm. At any time, we decide to do so. Decision. Everything comes from intelligence. There's nothing but unity. There's nothing but freedom. There's nothing but completeness. There's nothing but totality. Begin at the beginning and reason this out time after time until all doubt disappears, until the paradigm disappears. It is necessary that each of us does this for ourselves. Such is the power of right thinking. And we know we can do this because we see it happening in so many things, but we don't pay attention. Notice your paradigm shift as you move on. Such is the power. It cancels and erases everything unlike itself. It answers every question, solves all problems, is the solution to every difficulty. It is like the sunlight of eternal truth, bursting through the clouds of obscurity and bathing all life in a celestial glory. It is the absolute with which we are dealing and nothing less. Oh, Ernest got into that, didn't he? And it's a mouthful, but basically it says, begin at the beginning and reason this out time after time until all doubt disappears. And if you become a student of the science of mind or mental science or many of the other names it's known by, you'll notice that one of your big jobs is to change your paradigm, your model of what's happening, and to see it differently. So there it is. A constant repetition of a new thought supported by a new environment. Choose just one paradigm right now to work with, only one. If you want to shift your paradigm, your perceptions, choose to look at everything in a different way. I coach a minister colleague, and several weeks ago we were talking about this concept and about her perceptions, which were quite black and white, right and wrong. I challenged her to challenge every one of her perceptions, to question them, to evaluate them, to touch in and simply ask, is this really true? A week later, she was a different person on the phone. Relationships were healing, and ease and grace had settled over her, and now every week when we talk, she tells me of another one of her perceptions she has challenged, and how doing that has opened her and her ministry for greater and ever greater good. Does that sound delightful? You can do it. I want to challenge a perception paradigm we have right now with a new way of thinking. This is a race consciousness paradigm. Now, race consciousness is a term for habitual way of thinking held by a mass of people. I want your help in saying what the paradigm is. In general, what is the American paradigm around aging? You get feeble, the body breaks down, can't do things like you used to, etc. Well, look at this. This is most definitely being dressed for dancing to answer the divine invitation. You don't have to be that way. You can move out of that thought by moving. So many people get into the motion where they set up and decide, oh, I can't do that anymore. I'm too old. There are people, we have one very close to us here in the church, who's 85 years old, who works out every day, is teaching soccer to other adults and children, and moving continuously in his life. Why? Because his paradigm was that he didn't have to do what other people did. He could go ahead and do what God wanted him to do. And what God wanted him to do was to keep growing, to becoming, to doing. He's a charming, wonderful man who spent much of his life teaching mathematics in high school. We can do that. We can do that by changing our model, changing what we look at. Oh, this is the way I have to be. This is the only way it can be. That's wrong. You can do and you can be so much more in life. Last night we were lucky to watch a screening of the movie on Hamilton that was filmed a few years ago, and it's the complete show, not a Hollywood version, that was done at the theater of Hamilton playing. And you see the changes people make and how they direct their lives by changing their paradigm, their way of being. And it's a fascinating, fascinating show. You look at it and you wonder how someone could do that, but you notice that everything in the show comes from words actually spoken by the people that lived it. So, I want to invite us into a process right now of challenging a personal paradigm. Now, if you would, wherever you are, close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. I want you to think about a vision you have for yourself, a divine aspiration, an invitation that is calling you, that is being offered you to express more of God, to be a fuller, freer, expanded version of yourself. It's there for you. It's there. It's in your mind. It might relate to some relationships. It might relate to a career or the way you share your gifts. It might relate to your financial abundance. Whatever it relates to, pick one right now. Pick one. And because we are not there yet, that means there is something standing in the way. So what we are going to do is we are going to look at where we are right now in relationship to that bigger vision. Not with an unhappiness or a this isn't good attitude. Not that at all. Because right now is a magical, beautiful, precious moment. And there is a gift in this moment. There is an understanding. There is an awareness. There is an awakening in this moment. And that is what we're going to tap into right now. So, please, take a deep breath. A deep breath down into your belly. Deep belly breaths actually open us up physiologically to greater ideas. They calm our nerves, and they really do support our expanded awareness. So looking now at your current situation as it relates to your expanded vision, not in discomfort or unhappiness, but in a question. Be inquisitive. We're going to take another deep breath and then internally simply say this question. That is a very important word here. I wonder what paradigm my current situation is here to show me. Deep breath again. I wonder what gift of expanded awareness this current experience I am having has to give me. I wonder. And be in the inquiry. Right now, for just a few moments, be in the inquiry. I wonder. I invite you to take this inquisitive attitude out into your next 3 days. And for the next 3 days, consciously be aware of your vision versus your current experience. Staying in gratitude for all of the gifts that you have right now and the blessings that are yours right now. Be in the inquiry. I wonder what this is here to show me about my paradigm, about my philosophical, theoretical way, the framework of my thinking, about my habits of thought and attitude. I know someone who, whenever they have something happen in their life that seems in conflict or out of line with everything else, they say, what am I supposed to learn from this? And they pause for a little while to be able to think about it, and they find some revelations happening in their life. What am I supposed to learn from this? For the next 3 days, be available for diving ideas, and they will come. I know they will come. I know they will come because you are willing for them to come. You are willing to expand and to break out of that paradigm so that you can then align in vibration and in consciousness with the higher idea. I know that they will come because I am going to pray right now and affirm that they do. So we shall in this moment set the law in motion that the ideas, the higher ideas, the divine ideas come, and in the awareness of the paradigm, then the expanded awareness of the new thought about that paradigm also comes. And that is what we then spend the rest of our lives in, an expanded idea about who we are, about what we came here to do and to be, and the gifts we came here to share. So I know this unfolds because I have now spoken the word for it. And I simply now say thank you. I am grateful that it is now done and that we move into a higher place, that we move from a limiting paradigm into that expansion of paradise. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Can you say that? Thank you, life. And so it is. Get yourself charged up in your thinking. Have an attitude of gratitude about everything that you do and watch yourself grow. Watch your world change. Watch you become young again, like the 85-year-old man I told you about. He is constantly grateful. Yesterday I talked to him for a moment and he said, I am so grateful. I love you. Wow. What a beautiful way to live. And how many people do you say, well, give me more? I'm not going to tell you the truth. Live in gratefulness. Live in the gratefulness that allows you to share what you have and to grow forward. And I'm going to ask you now to also include in your idea the gift you wish to give us here. And as you are right now, close your eyes and say with me, God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my gift back to you. God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my gift back to you. And so it is.
Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be love on earth, the love that was meant to be. With God as Creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let love begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in love eternally. Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me.
So there we are, a wonderful chance to change your life with what you've learned on this wonderful morning. Take these ideas and write them down. Rewatch the program if you must. Include my errors in it and laugh at me for being a fumble tongue. It's okay. Take the ideas and use them. They can change your life. I cannot tell you the number of people that I have talked to and known who have done these things and changed their paradigms, changed their attitudes, changed their way of seeing their lives, and revolutionized their lives thereby. That's my wish for you. As we're going through more of this virus period, which is so tragic, don't let it be your story. Wear protective face covering whenever you're out in public around anyone. Practice social distancing. We all love to touch. We all love to hug each other and just say, hey, how are you? It's good to see you. We don't have to do that. I have several stores I go to, and whenever they say something, they say, how are you? And what they mean is, that's our touch. When you go in from outside, wash your hands. When you touch anything from outside, wash your hands. Oh, don't say, well, my skin gets so dry. Well, stop at the store and get some hand cream. If you don't have any, coconut oil works great. If you don't have any of that, you can use shortening. It's not as good. Use olive oil. Use something just to keep your skin moist, and wash your hands. Take time every day to think of the good. Don't let people destroy you with their negativity. Live and show them what life is. And let yourself know now the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Amen.